Okay, one student asked me a question, and we checked the homework, and we saw this issue, so I wanted to let you know about this before you do your homework. So I think I told you in class that there's sometimes when we use n for the standard deviation, do we divide the standard deviation by n, and sometimes we divide by n minus 1. And I said that when we're doing a sample, we use n minus 1. And that's even though when we do the population, we use n. And I kind of explained the reason for that. And that's because I talked about the fact that if you're trying to estimate the standard deviation of the population, turns out that and of course you're using your sample data to do that. It turns out that dividing by n minus 1 for some mathematical reason is better, gives you better chance of getting an accurate estimate of the standard deviation in the population. So we use n minus 1 for the sample. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that you understand that. So when we're talking about population, we'll use n. That is the normal way, and that's what we kind of expect. But it turns out that for a sample, when we're using that to estimate something, to estimate the standard deviation of the population, it turns out that using a divisor of n minus 1 just works better. And whether we understand it, like it, or whatever, that's just the way it does. And you can prove it mathematically, but it just works better at estimating the standard deviation of the population. Okay, one other thing that you might have numbers 1, 2, 3, and you want to find the standard deviation. If you want to use Excel, which I don't really want you to use Excel, the first few calculations, I want you to understand the calculations and do a few by yourself, but eventually you would use Excel, and you would do something like this. You type equals, but suppose we're doing the variance instead of the standard. Okay, let's try both. But anyway, variance. Notice there's this one, there's also this one, and there's this one. So this one, I believe, would use n because it's var.p. So that means it's for the population, so it's just going to use n. And this, I believe, is, so these will give us different answers. var.p for the population. One is dividing by n, and the other is dividing by n minus 1. So this one will divide by, let's try this. This one will divide by, what was this one? This was var. So sample. So this will divide by n minus 1. On the other hand, we could do this one, var population, and this one should divide by something else, and it divides by n, so dividing by something bigger, so the answer is smaller, as we can see. Okay, that's all.